Yep, we're good. Okay.
I'll start you.
Perfect. Okay. And if you want to sit down and relax, feel free, or whatever you want to do.
Okay. I'll just hang out right here.
Okay. My name is Derek Schultz, and I have the great pleasure of presenting Symbio to you today. In the year 1800, the famous American Johnny Appleseed said, "An apple a day keeps the doctor away." A question that we have to keep returning to today is the apple of 1800 the same as the apple in the 21st century? Well, in order to understand that, we actually have to understand what an apple is today. So, brace yourself. Buckle your seatbelts. Today we're going to be taking the journey of an apple. An apple is grown on a tree, most likely picked somewhere other than the United States of America. The apple is harvested, it is covered in wax, and then it is put into a room that neither you or I can sit in for more than a minute because we would die. After 10 full months in that room, the apple finally gets brought out of the room, gets put on a cargo shipment to the United States, finally arrives in the United States, gets put on a semi, gets shipped to St. Louis, and finally arrives at our local grocery store where we consume it. At that point, the apple is, brace yourself, 11 months old. It still looks beautiful, doesn't it? It hasn't changed a bit, on the outside at least. On the inside, however, the apple has lost all of its nutrients. The apple has lost all of its antioxidants, and that apple, although it looks healthy, is a ball of sugar. And I think we'd be hard-pressed to find any doctor who says a ball of sugar a day keeps the doctor away. This is really one of the few inherent problems that's in agriculture, the fact that food doesn't have nutritional benefit. Other problems are water. Over 70%, can you believe that? 70% of water goes to agriculture. And right now, 775 million people don't have water. That in and of itself justifies that we need a solution. And I want to spend the majority of my day talking about a solution to a problem rather than a problem. Here we have it. Grow indoors and go local. Japan's already doing it. This does a lot of really good things. It makes agriculture more efficient. We can produce a lot more. The energy input is 70% less. And the output is just so much higher. So our goal is to bring that business model to the capital of agriculture, St. Louis. And we want to do this by streamlining and technologizing agriculture. This does a lot of things. It allows you to have a growing environment where you don't have to have herbicides. You don't have to have pesticides. Your food's in a perfect growing environment. This increases yields, and this makes agriculture more profitable. Our business model is in two phases. Right now, we're working on what I call a model of scale. If our model of scale, which is 250 square feet, is profitable, if we take that model and multiply it by 100, it should be 100 times more profitable. Welcome to my house. We're doing a lot of experiments at my house with non-soil-based growing methods. And these are really, really great because they give us outputs in a 250 square feet space that are much, much larger than even a full acre of farmed land. 70 heads of lettuce a week, 50 herb packages a week, 10 pounds of mushrooms, 15 trays of wheatgrass, with a total weekly revenue of $610. And keep in mind, this is 250 square feet. I know what you're thinking. Expenses. We're creating a controlled environment indoors. This has to be incredibly expensive. Well, 10 years ago, you would have been right. But today, technology has made this form of agriculture cheap, accessible, and it leaves hardly any energy footprint. Right here, I'm running 10 300-watt lights, and my electricity is only $216, and my total expenses are $56.56. Gives me a total weekly revenue of $553.44, and brace yourself, an annual net profit of $28,847.94, and this is only 250 square feet. Also in phase one, we don't just want to keep growing in our house. We want to get it out there and get people excited about that. And we've been thinking about different ways to do this. One way is in restaurants and businesses going in and designing an actual indoor farm for them. Here's what the restaurant has to do. They pay for the produce. Here's what we do. Absolutely everything else. Maintenance, harvesting, putting together the system. The restaurant gets to reap all of the PR benefits of being the first restaurant in St. Louis with an indoor farm. And I think that's pretty incredible. Phase 2 of our overall production is we're going to take the 250 square feet and we're going to multiply it times 100. My business partners and I, an activity that we like to do is just drive around St. Louis and look at all the abandoned buildings. And we think that St. Louis is a perfect spot for this sort of operation because we have so many beautiful abandoned buildings for it. There's some things that are happening in the industry that are going to make us successful in St. Louis. One of those is automation. My team right now is working with a group at MIT called OpenAg, and we're figuring out how to automate through machine learning whole systems of agriculture, which is pretty incredible. There's also strong demand for local produce. People really want this. Real food tastes really good, and it sells itself. But where do we have a competitive advantage? Well, some of these operations have failed in the United States. And at Summit in Atlanta, when we asked them why they failed, it was quite simply because they didn't think about the logistics to growing agriculture. Well, that's why we're scaling up. We want to think what it's like to harvest lettuce that's 15 feet high and not run into problems. And all of those problems we're ironing out right now in the prototype phase, so that way when we actually get to the large model, we're successful. Another thing that's happening in this industry is the battle between technology and productivity. I love technology because it makes things easier. But if technology does not have a value added, if it doesn't increase revenue, then we can't use it. My overall goal for Symbio is to show people that this industry is profitable, to create a new industry of farmers in the United States of America, in a new industry of manufacturing. What I want you all to take away from this presentation is that there is a need. There is a need to redefine agriculture. And there's a solution. Moving agriculture indoors. It puts people so close to their food. If we do this, I can guarantee you that St. Louis will remain the agriculture capital of the world. But it won't only benefit St. Louis. This benefit will spread across the whole world. And I bring you back. Let's fast forward 100 years when someone's talking about that apple again. And they point back to the insignificant time period where an apple, of all things, the thing that keeps the doctor away, was unhealthy because we figured out a better way to grow it. Thank you.